All right, this question is slightly in the same vein. Between 1995 and 2005, 223 pedestrians and cyclists were injured in District 25 along Roosevelt Avenue, and 3 pedestrians were killed. What would each of you do to improve the safety of Roosevelt Avenue? What's lacking? Is it engineering or enforcement or both?
It's a combination of enforcement. It's a combination of exactly looking at the traffic on Roosevelt Avenue. The fact is that Roosevelt Avenue has some very bad patterns, traffic patterns. They have bad patterns with turning left and turning right, according to the Department of Transportation. Because for 4 years I was on the Transportation Committee in the City Council. And as much as the good work that was done under John Liu as chair of that committee, and the advances that we made, there was much more to do. And one of the things basically is to look at avenues like Roosevelt and Northern Boulevard. And how do we connect? It's straight direct to Flushing. Northern Boulevard is straight out to the island. We cannot overlook the challenges that avenues like that present to a community that is in the heart of Western Queens, that has a transportation hub, that is the most densely populated anywhere. We have very little green space. We have no parks. We have concrete playgrounds. These are all challenges, and we have to look at them in the right way. Traffic has always been a problem. As much as you say people don't own cars, that's simply not true, because they are the ones that are taking up all the spaces in our streets. They are the car owners of people living in Jackson Heights. The issue is there's very little parking, very, very little parking that's available. So I think these are the issues that we need to discuss. We can't look at it isolated in a vacuum. Thank you.
So you said 225 deaths or accidents?
Accidents, injuries.
Okay. How many deaths?
3 pedestrian deaths.
Okay. So it depends upon where it and what happened. And I think that if you look at the number of people live in the district and going and driving, and bicycle and pedestrians, accident always happen. It's a part of life. And we cannot blame anybody for this. I think our police is doing a good job and implementing the laws, but at the same time, we can put certain changes in certain neighborhood. Now, I propose that in 73rd, 74th, 75th Street on 37th, you see, noise is the biggest problem to me. The people who honk horns, I think we had to have a police sit there and stand there giving $350 to $400 fine every time they honk. And the people who drive in this neighborhood, I don't think Danny don't drive. I drive all the time. And they wanted to go faster than anybody else. If you wait 1 second, if you're late and going through the light, they honk right away. I mean, they're all very happy to go faster than anybody else. Now, that make a lot of accidents. And what another thing we can do is, when alternate parking, I always notice when the roads are cleaning in the neighborhood. When the roads cleaning, alternate parking, they have to implement strict. All the cars which is parked oppose the alternate parking, they must be towed away, including my car. If I park in some place without looking, it should be towed away. That's the way you have to reduce this, clean this neighborhood. The bicycle. Bringing bicycle to her, I'm going to do bicycle in my election campaign. That's what I'm going to do.
Thank you, Stanley. So next week, I think Brendan has some flyers that he's handing out about my bicycle event next week. So if you haven't gotten one, grab one. Brendan, just raise your hand there. Thank you. We're going to have bicycling for Drum. Anyway, I just want to go back to the other question. You were talking about what can be done in terms of the bicyclists who have been harmed. You know, another idea that I had was reducing the speed limit as well, and I think that's something that we have to look at also. because these cars come barreling down the streets, especially along the side streets, the numbered streets, not the avenues here. And actually sometimes it's so loud and they come barreling down so quickly that it shakes the windows in my apartment. My apartment faces 78th Street, and it's unbelievable sometimes how fast those cars come down there. And I would tend to believe that some of those bicyclists who were hurt were probably delivery people. And I think that's why I'm stressing education, because a lot of them are immigrant workers who are delivering food for the local restaurants and stuff like that. And I think education there would also be very, very helpful. Now, in regard to Roosevelt Avenue itself, I think that we have to look at delaying the crossing time so that people have more time to cross the street. I think that's something that's very important. I know they're talking in Manhattan about putting in countdown clocks. I think that would also be useful, something that we could use here in this neighborhood as well. And yes, it's true that there's very little parking in this neighborhood, but here again is where I want to hold the council member accountable, because in 8 years we've had not one iota of movement in terms of getting another parking garage in the area. And that would probably help with some of the congestion, especially along 73rd and 74th Streets as well. So those are some of the ideas that I have.